Imagine pressing play on an action movie, expecting a gritty, hard-boiled crime thriller, but entering a surreal fever dream where logic does not exist. A world where an injured man receives emergency medical treatment on a waterbed. A ruthless hitman sneaks up on his victims wearing cowboy boots barefoot, and a giant jawline rules the criminal underworld. This is not a parody. This is the bizarre reality of a forgotten late 80s grindhouse film that did absolutely everything wrong, yet somehow stumbled into cinematic immortality. Released in 1988 under the direction of the eccentric Iranian filmmaker Amir Shervan, the movie titled Killing American Style is not just a low-budget action piece. It is a strange slice of independent cinema history, where supreme confidence clashed head-on with complete technical incompetence. The film attempts to recreate the ultimate American muscle-bound action hero mythos, but it was written and directed by someone who fundamentally did not understand Native American culture. This exact creative friction birthed an unintentional masterpiece, a beautiful disaster that cult cinema fans still cherish after nearly 4 decades. Today, we are going through the untold, behind-the-scenes stories, technical disasters, and baffling creative choices that shaped this legendary piece of trash cinema. From dangerous, unpermitted practical stunts that nearly cost lives, to the tragic involvement of an actual NFL icon who completely gave up on the project. And keep watching until the final section, because the story of how this film directly birthed the internet-famous masterpiece Samurai Cop will change how you look at bad movies forever. Before we begin this journey into the heart of cinematic madness, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy deep dives into the chaotic history of movies that defined pop culture. Now, let us step into the wild world of Amir Shervan. Number 1. The cultural translation that broke reality. The entire foundation of this movie rests on a fascinating misunderstanding. Before arriving in Los Angeles, director Amir Shervan was a respected filmmaker in Iran. However, when he decided to write a hard-hitting American action script, he relied entirely on outdated slang and direct translations from his native language. This resulted in characters speaking in bizarre, robotic sentences that no human being would ever say in real life. Many accounts suggest that Shervan genuinely believed he was writing a masterpiece of street-smart American dialogue. This matters because it proves the film was not made as a joke. The actors delivered these lines with absolute seriousness, creating an accidental comedic rhythm that money simply cannot buy. Number 2. The legendary jawline of cinema. Audiences were instantly captivated by the terrifyingly unique appearance of the lead villain, Tony Stone. The character was played by Robert Zedar, an actor whose massive, imposing jawline became his cinematic trademark. Behind the scenes, this distinctive physical trait was the result of a rare medical condition called cherubism, which causes abnormal bone development in the lower face. Instead of letting it limit his career, Zedar used it to become an unforgettable screen presence. Shervan recognized the cinematic value of that face immediately and kept the camera zoomed in tightly on Zedar for maximum intimidation. It changed his career entirely, turning a low-budget actor into a permanent cult icon of exploitation cinema. Number 3. The phantom film sets of Los Angeles. Making an action movie usually requires extensive city paperwork. But the production team had a completely different strategy. To save money, the crew shot almost the entire movie without a single official city permit. They would pull up to random street corners in Los Angeles, unpack the cameras, shoot a chaotic action sequence as quickly as possible, and run away before the police arrived. This guerrilla style of filmmaking injected a genuine sense of panic into the performances. The actors were not just pretending to be stressed. They were constantly looking around for real law enforcement. It reveals the raw, unfiltered nature of independent 80s filmmaking, where getting the shot was worth risking a night in jail. Number 4. The costume department of one. In standard Hollywood productions, wardrobe teams spend thousands of dollars establishing a character style. For this film, the wardrobe budget was effectively $0. The director instructed the entire cast to simply show up to the set wearing whatever clothes they happen to own that day. This explains why the criminal gang looks completely disorganized, featuring an absurd mix of neon workout gear, cowboy hats, and tight denim. This detail highlights the sheer financial desperation behind the scenes. It created a strange time capsule of authentic, low-income, late 80s fashion that no Hollywood costume designer could ever accurately recreate. Number 5. The floating operating table. One specific scene in the movie has achieved legendary status among bad movie enthusiasts for its absolute lack of logic. When a main character gets shot and requires urgent, delicate medical attention, the characters place him on a floating waterbed to perform surgery. Reportedly, the crew could not find a standard bed frame or couch at the filming location, so they used the waterbed that was already in the room. The resulting footage shows a bleeding man bobbing up and down violently, while an actor pretends to remove a bullet with household tools. This moment highlights the total absence of common sense on the set, turning a life and death dramatic sequence into pure cinematic gold. Number 6. The silent voices of the underworld. When you watch the movie, you might notice that the dialogue sounds incredibly unnatural and completely detached from the background environment. This is because the original audio recorded on set was entirely ruined by cheap equipment and heavy wind noise. Shervan was forced to bring the entire cast into a small studio months later to dub every single line of dialogue in post-production. Because the actors could not remember their original timing, the mouth movements rarely matched the spoken words. This technical disaster inadvertently gave the movie an eerie, disconnected atmosphere, making it feel like a foreign film that was poorly translated into English. Number 7. The public domain Armory. The sound design of a great action film relies on powerful, punchy audio effects for its weaponry. For this production, the crew had no money to hire a sound editor, so they utilized a single, cheap sound effects cassette tape. As a result, every single firearm in the movie, from a tiny pocket pistol to a massive automatic rifle, makes the exact same generic popping sound effect. This repetitive audio choice completely drains the action scenes of any realistic danger. It shows how minor technical shortcuts can entirely alter the tone of a piece, transforming a gritty crime saga into a cartoonish playground. Number 8. The dangerous art of the free fall. Stunt coordinators are essential for keeping actors safe during high-octane sequences, but this set did not have that luxury. During a critical chase scene, an actor was required to jump from the roof of a fast-moving van directly onto the hard asphalt. Without any safety mats, pads, or professional supervision, the actor simply performed the leap and hoped for the best. Miraculously, no one was killed, but the fear visible on the actor's face was completely real. This dangerous approach reveals the dark side of grindhouse cinema, where human safety was constantly sacrificed for a cheap thrill. Let us pause for a moment. If you are a fan of uncovering the strange, hilarious, and unexpected corners of movie history, leave a comment below sharing which behind-the-scenes choice shocked you the most. Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into cinema archives. Now, let us return to the rest of the secrets behind killing American style. Number 9, the misery of a football legend. To give the project some mainstream credibility, the director managed to cast Jim Brown, an actual NFL superstar and respected mainstream actor. However, upon arriving on the chaotic set, Brown immediately realized he had made a terrible mistake. Many accounts suggest that Brown was so deeply embarrassed by the amateur production that he refused to do multiple takes and walked to his trailer the moment his lines were read. His performance on screen is a masterclass in visible regret, as he stands completely still and delivers his dialogue with zero emotion. This contrast between a true American icon and an absolute disaster of a movie creates an incredible, awkward tension that anchors the middle of the film. Number 10, the time-traveling son. Continuity editing is the invisible thread that keeps a story coherent, but this movie completely snaps that thread. In several action sequences, a character will walk out of a house during the bright, blinding afternoon sun. But the moment the camera cuts to the exterior street, it is the middle of the dark night. Shervan simply did not have the time or money to wait for the correct time of day, so he kept shooting regardless of the lighting. This total disregard for temporal logic forces the audience to view the movie not as a realistic story, but as a dreamlike experience where time has no meaning. Number 11, the marketing of supreme violence. The title Killing American Style sounds incredibly aggressive, but its origin is surprisingly simple. Shervan chose the title because he believed it sounded like a major Hollywood blockbuster that would sell incredibly well in international markets. He wanted to signal to global audiences that they were getting an authentic taste of American action culture. The irony is that the film represents the exact opposite of Hollywood polish. It shows how independent filmmakers used extreme, sensationalist titles as a survival mechanism to get their work noticed on the crowded shelves of 80s video rental stores. Number 12. The script on a napkin. Many actors involved in the production later revealed that they rarely received a complete script before the day of filming. Shervan would often arrive on set, look at the available location, and write the day dialogue on scraps of paper or the back of napkins just minutes before shouting action. This lack of preparation meant the actors had no idea what the character motivations were from one day to the next. It transformed the production into a giant exercise in improvisation, where survival on set was more important than artistic consistency. Number 13, the bankruptcy of a dream. When the movie was finally completed, Shervan believed he had a massive hit on his hands. Unfortunately, the theatrical distribution was an absolute disaster, and the film vanished from sight almost immediately, completely failing to make any money. The financial failure devastated the director and left the cast empty-handed. This tragic outcome is a common reality for thousands of independent films from that era, showing that passion and hard work do not guarantee a happy ending in the brutal landscape of show business. Number 14, the resurrection from the vault. For decades, the original film prints of this movie were considered completely lost to time. However, the American Genre Film Archive recently tracked down the surviving elements and painstakingly restored the movie for a modern audience. When it was re-released on physical media, a whole new generation of cinema fans fell in love with its unintentional brilliance. This modern rescue mission proves that no piece of art is truly dead, and that time can transform a commercial failure into a celebrated cultural artifact. Number 15, the blueprint for a masterpiece. This brings us to the most shocking truth of all. Killing American Style was not just a standalone failure. It was actually the direct testing ground for one of the most famous bad movies in internet history. The exact same creative team, the same production methods, and many of the same actors took everything they learned from this disaster and immediately used it to create the legendary cult film Samurai Cop. If this movie had not failed so beautifully, the world would have never received the gift of Samurai Cop. This realization ties the entire chaotic journey together. It proves that in the strange world of exploitation cinema, a failure is never truly the end. It is simply the stepping stone to an accidental masterpiece. Looking back, Killing American Style is certainly not a perfect film by any cinematic metric. It is filled with technical flaws, nonsensical dialogue, and amateur action choreography. But that exact imperfection is what gives it such a vibrant, lasting life. It bears the raw fingerprint of real human beings who risked everything to chase their cinematic dreams, regardless of their lack of resources or technical skill. That is why this work will always deserve a special place in the hearts of true cinema lovers. If you want to see a deep dive into the legendary production of its spiritual successor Samurai Cop or other classic cinematic disasters, let me know in the comments below. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next journey behind the curtain of pop culture history.